Hello, in today's lecture, we are going to cover Bundi Prajamandal. In the previous lecture, we have seen what all factors led to the Prajamandal movement, and also across country, such Prajamandal movement were going on. In context of Rajasthan, the first Prajamandal that was formed was Jaipur Prajamandal. Okay, and there were a series of events which led to even formation of Jaipur Prajamandal, and there were issues like first time when Jaipur Prajamandal was formed, it was formed under Kapoor Chand Patni. Then again, because Jaipur administration failed to register it as a society in general, so there were efforts to rejuvenate it. And because of Shastri's effort in 1936, Prajamandal was regenerated, and Chiranjit Lal Mishra was made the president, and Hira Lal Shastri was made the general secretary. Now, what happens is, again, because of all these resolutions that were moving by Jaipur Prajamandal at that time, the time was such that the Prime Minister H.P. Champ declared the body to be illegal, and eventually they had to replace it by Jaipur Rajya Prajamandal. And Jaipur Rajya Prajamandal's first president was Jamna Lal Bajaj, and Hira Lal Shastri was the chairman, and Chiranjit Lal Mishra was the general secretary. In this context, it is to be noted that Jaipur Rajya Prajamandal did not participate in Quit India movement because it was bound with the gentleman agreement that it did with the so gentleman agreement was signed between the Prime Minister Mirza Ismail and Hira Lal Shastri, which said that they cannot participate in any anti-British activities, and because of which Azad Morcha was formed under Baba Harishchand, and some other members were Ramkaran Joshi, Chiranjit Lal Mishra, Daulat Bhandari, and Hans Deroy. You should remember that after the banning, when ban was removed over Jaipur Prajamandal, Hira Lal Shastri became the president. So all these facts are very important for your exam. In general, whichever exam you will fight, these facts would remain very important. So today, going in the chronological order, after 1931, another you can say important event that took place was in the southern part of Rajasthan, that is southern eastern part of the Rajasthan, that is along in the Bundi. So Bundi, as you know, it's a very it is a very beautiful place right now, and it is also told as the heaven of the birds. Okay, heaven of the birds, and it is in the Khadoti region. That is, it is in the Hadoti region. Okay, but the most important thing that you should remember is that Bundi shares border with the Mewar. Okay, and during those times in Mewar, there was great amount of uprising. The peasant uprising was going on. There were very much agitated farmers, and two of the big peasant revolts of the Rajasthan history took place in Mewar region. That is Bichauliya movement and Begu movement. Okay, so Bundi cannot remain unperturbed by such events. Okay, so one has to understand that political consciousness in Bundi. One can ask that why after Jaipur we were teaching because one thing is very much clear that in 1931 is 2 years too early, because 1931 Jaipur was still a hotspot, right? But Bundi to remain hotspot, what may be the reason? The reason may be since it shares the border with the Mewar, and because there were many peasant uprising going on that particular time. So it will really inculcate the political consciousness in the neighboring areas as well. Okay, so let us start with the 19th century. So as I had mentioned that I'm going through 19th century, and only then I'm going to build up the story and take it eventually to the formation of the Bundi Prajamandal or any Prajamandal. So 19th century, as I told in Jaipur also, is marked with the modernization of these states. Okay, so at that particular time, Maharao Raghuveer Singh II, that is, he reigned from 1889 to 1927, was very much focused on modernization of Bundi. Okay, and in 1908, at that particular time, the total revenue of state was around 6 lakh. Okay, and most of these things because came from the land revenues and also due to custom duties and taxes. Okay, now in totality, because of the natural resources like limestone, Bundi state had started a cement factory in 1913. Okay, so in 1913 there was a cement factory because of the limestone reserves Bundi had. So Bundi Portland Cement Limited was established in 1913, which was eventually taken over by Associated Cement Company. So one has to understand that Bundi was having good amount of revenue at that particular point of time. Now, what happens during World War I? Bundi assisted the imperial war effort. Okay. However, following this World War I in 1920s, there were events in Mewar. Like there were many uprisings that we'll see in 1857, and two of the very talked about uprisings are Bijolia movement and Begu movement. Both these movements were taking place around in the Mewar region. And remember, Mewar shares border with the Bundi, as I told earlier. Okay, so these aggregate movements helped inculcating the political consciousness among the people of the Bundi state. And further, because these events were taking place, so Vijay Singh Pathik and Ramnaran Chaudhary was time and again visiting this place called as Bijolia, and because of which the movement also was actually going widespread. Okay, and the conditions were such. So, for example, there were the problems of landless laborers, that is Halis and Batholias, and there was farmers protesting against the Lagbak cess that we'll see in 1857 revolt also. So there were farmers protesting against the Lagbak cess, high land revenues, Begar. Okay, and one of the legendary figures in the Kota and Bundi was Pandit Nanuram Sharma. So Pandit Nanuram Sharma was leading all these activities along with Haribhai Kinkar. So all these kind of protest where they were raising the voice of the farmers against the lagar tax, against the high land revenues, against the Begar, was actually catching the eye of the Bundi state. Okay, and because of which Bundi state eventually banned the public meetings. It banned the public meetings. And in the series of events in 1922, May and June 1922, there were many arrests and many maltreatment given to the women and children and all these things. So basically, they were actually trying to suppress this kind of voices. Now, in this particular era, there was another leading figure called as Ram Narayan Chaudhary. Okay, Ram Narayan Chaudhary, who took up this matter, and they reported that Begar system was in operation and there were no civil liberties, and also because of the World War I, there was something called as war fund. Now, despite World War I was over, still collections were made from war fund. So basically, it was unnecessary exploitation of people's money. So because of this influence of Ram Narayan Chaudhary, all these things were actually taking up. And eventually, what did it lead to? It led to the arrest of Pandit Nanuram Sharma, and he was sentenced to 4 years imprisonment on 10th of May 1923. And in series of event in May 1923, there was Satyagraha going on, and when Satyagraha was going on, police opened firing, and Nanak Ji Bhil was killed in this particular firing. It was around 1923, and subsequently, Rajasthan Seva Sangh took up the matter again. But because they were actually publicizing these activities through the newspapers, so Rajasthan Seva Sangh was also banned from entering the Bundi state. Now, an informal Prajamandal was formed under Gopal Sutania, Jayalal Jhandel, and Gopal Lal Kotiya. And now what happens in 1927, Maharao Raghuveer Singh II was succeeded by Ishwari Singh and Prime Minister A.V. Robertson. Now again, in this particular era also, much of the focus was about infrastructure development. Nagda Mathura Rail, Imperial Post Office, High School in Bundi, and vernacular school at Nanava were built. And there was also a hospital at that particular time in the capital. And during this time, when there was an uprising going on, Prajamandal was officially set up in 1913 by Kantilal Chauthani. And during this time, there were calls for representative governments within the state. They wanted a representative government. And in this thing, there was a killing of a Brahmin priest who was called as Rajpurohit Ramnath Kuddal. And this all the more infuriated the people. And again, there were protests, there were strikes, and all these things were taking place. And police was brutally crushing all these kind of revolts. Now, what happens in 1931? As I told, Prajamandal was officially set up, and all these things when were going on, and overall, because of their activities, Bundi state eventually banned the newspapers and entry to the political activists outside from the Bundi. It is to be mentioned that Bundi saw some political activity then in 1942. So one has to remember that Bundi participated in Quit India movement. Okay, remember Jaipur and Alwar Prajamandal did not participate. Alwar I have not taught you, but Jaipur I have taught you that Jaipur did not participate in the Prajamandal movement. In the Quit India movement. Jaipur Prajamandal did not participate in the Quit India movement because there was a gentleman agreement that was signed between the Mirza Ismail and Hiralal Shastri. Now, what happens is Bundi participated in Quit India movement, and because it participated in Quit India movement under the leadership of Nityanand and another one was Rishi Dutt Mehta, both of them were deported to jail. Nityanand was deported to Bundi jail, and Rishi Dutt Mehta was deported to Ajmer jail for 4 years. Now, what happens since there was no political activity, the leaders have gone. So in 1944, another political grouping, you can say, was found called as Bundi Prajamandal Movement with the inspiration of Rishi Dutt Mehta. And this societies, or you can say this organization's president was Hari Mohan Mathur and Brij Sundar Sharma. So these are all important events. You should remember one, that 1931 Bundi Prajamandal was formed by the help of Kantilal Chauthani established Bundi Prajamandal in 1931. Bundi also participated in Quit India movement. Okay, Nityananda and Rishi Dutt Mehta were leading figures in Quit India movement. Also, one must remember both were jailed for 4 years. So in 1944, another organization came into place that was called as Bundi Rajya Loka Parishad, and its president was Hari Mohan Mathur, and its secretary was Brij Sundar Sharma. Now, what happens after the death of the Ishwari Singh? Maharao Bahadur Singh succeeded, and he was that figure who signed instrument accession to India. So just remember a few things, and I think it will be done. So just remember the name of the Prajamandal, where it was established, who established it, and who are the leading figures. Okay, did it participate in QIC or not, and who are the rulers around that particular time? So that also, if you can keep in mind. So for example, when Bundi Prajamandal was formed, the ruler was Ishwari Singh. Please do remember. It will be of great help to you. Okay, so for example, when it comes to Jaipur Prajamandal, Raja Man Singh II was the ruler when all these activities were going on. So at times in exam it may be asked that who was the ruler at that particular time. So Raja Man Singh II was the ruler during the Jaipur Prajamandal activities, and during the activities of Bundi Prajamandal from 1931 onwards, you can see that the ruler was Ishwari Singh, and to the end of it, Maharao Bahadur Singh goes and succeeds. And remember, Bahadur Rao comes from the lineage of Buddha Singh. So there was a ruler called as Maharao Buddha Singh. Okay, this is 17th to 18th century ruler, and Bahadur Singh was very as his name goes, he was very Bahadur, and he actually participated even in the military activity in World War II also. So and he was that instrumental person who signed the instrument of accession to India in August 1947. So please do remember, Maharao Bahadur Singh signed the instrument of accession in 1947. Okay, so all these facts are most important facts that I've shared with you with regards to Bundi Prajamandal 1931. I hope to see you in the next lecture with Marwar Prajamandal. Till then, take care.